You ever have someone call the cops on you for being in your own home? Yeah. That happened to me. At 6:43 a.m., standing barefoot on my uncle's porch, coffee steaming in one hand, I watched two patrol cars crawl up my gravel drive, blue and red lights flickering against the pine trees, because the local HOA president decided I was a burglar. The beams from their headlights sliced through the early mist, turning the cabin's wooden walls into a movie screen of shadows. A woman in a beige pantsuit stood behind them, arms crossed like she was about to deliver a corporate performance review. "That's him, officers, the trespasser," she declared, chin high, voice sharp enough to cut glass. I just stood there on the porch, mug in hand, the absurdity of the situation settling like fog in my chest. The older officer stepped forward, careful, professional. "Sir, we received a report of a possible break-in. May I see some ID?" I handed him my license, and behind it, another card, my official badge from the State Property Compliance Division. He studied both, glanced up at me, then over at the woman. His eyes narrowed. "Ma'am," he asked evenly, "do you know who this man is?" Her confidence wavered for the first time. "I don't care who he says he is. He's on HOA property without authorization." The officer's tone shifted. "Ma'am, this is Daniel Morrison, Senior Compliance Officer for the state." The silence that followed could have frozen the lake. It had all begun 3 days earlier, with a phone call from my mom. My uncle had passed away, Uncle Robert, the one who taught me how to fish and built this lakeside cabin with his own hands. In the middle of grief came an unexpected line in his will: he'd left the cabin to me. The attorney confirmed it, deed, taxes, all current. After months of wrangling city property disputes, I needed quiet. So I packed a weekend bag and drove 3 hours through the mountains, where the air still smelled like pine and wood smoke. The cabin was exactly as I remembered, small, warm, a fireplace that whispered of old stories. I lit a fire, poured a glass of wine, and fell asleep to the rhythm of crickets and the lake lapping at the shore. Peace. For about 7 hours. Bang. 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 It wasn't a polite knock, it was an angry summons. I stumbled to the door, still half asleep, and found a woman glaring at me like I'd just stolen her parking spot in heaven. Clipboard in hand. Perfectly pressed blazer. "Who are you?" she demanded, "and what are you doing on this property?" "Daniel Morrison," I said, trying not to yawn. "I inherited this cabin from my uncle." "And I'm Karen Hale," she snapped, president of the Birchwood Commons Homeowners Association. "And you, Mr. Morrison, are trespassing." I blinked. "Pretty sure you can't trespass on property you own." "That's not how it works here," she barked, waving her clipboard like a sword. "New residents must complete transfer forms, background checks, and orientation. You haven't paid the $500 new owner fee." "I literally own the place," I said, rubbing my eyes. "I'm just here for one night." She huffed, face reddening. "I won't be disrespected by outsiders. If you're still here tonight, I'll have you arrested." And with that, she marched down my driveway like she'd just declared war. The rest of the day, the world seemed normal again. I unpacked, went kayaking, met a neighbor named Tom who offered condolences and a beer. When I mentioned Karen, he just sighed. "Ah, you met the Queen of Birchwood. She once cited me for using the wrong shade of brown on my deck." I laughed, thinking maybe this was just a bad morning misunderstanding. That night, the lake glowed in shades of orange and violet as the sun dipped. I grilled a burger, poured a drink, and for the first time in weeks, felt okay. Then came the sirens. 2 patrol cars. Headlights cutting through the fog. Karen Hale was back, arms crossed, victory already in her eyes. "Officers," she called, "this is the man who broke into the cabin." I stood there calmly, coffee mug still in hand. "Evening," I said. "You're right on time for dessert." The older officer took my ID. When he saw the second card, my badge, his entire posture changed. He turned to Karen. "Ma'am, this man is a senior compliance officer with the state. He owns this property." Karen blinked. "But he hasn't completed HOA approval." "You can't trespass on your own land," he said flatly. That was the moment her empire cracked. I filed a formal complaint for harassment and misuse of emergency services. She called her husband, her HOA attorney, the entire board. None of it helped. By morning, I was back in the city, reviewing Birchwood Commons files. What I found was a masterpiece of mismanagement, unapproved fines, hidden elections, missing financials. Within a week, we launched a full audit. The report was brutal, violations on nearly every page. The state issued corrective orders, and the board scheduled an emergency meeting. When the day came, the community hall overflowed. For the first time, people who'd stayed silent under Karen's reign spoke up. She fined me for leaving my trash bin out 1 extra hour. She told my husband we couldn't fly the flag without permission. She threatened legal action over a flower pot color. Then came the vote. Unanimous. Karen Hale was removed as HOA president, after 12 years of running Birchwood like her private kingdom. I attended both as a homeowner and as the compliance officer overseeing the case. When the secretary read the tally, Karen's face went pale. "This is illegal," she shouted. "You can't do this, I am the HOA. "Not anymore," said Tom quietly. "You're a neighbor now." Security had to escort her out as she clutched her clipboard like a lifeline. Her authority evaporated into the night. The state fined the association for multiple violations, and Karen herself received a personal citation. Rumor had it she'd taken a second mortgage to cover her attorney fees. 6 months later, I was appointed to help write new statewide HOA accountability rules, ones designed to prevent exactly what happened here. They called them the Morrison Standards. Now, when I visit the cabin, the lake looks just as peaceful, but the neighborhood feels lighter. Tom's the new HOA president. He organizes potlucks instead of patrols. And sometimes, in the mornings, I see Karen walking her Pomeranian past my driveway. She doesn't wave. Doesn't speak. Just keeps walking. And every year, when the compliance review comes around, I'm the one assigned to inspect Birchwood Commons. She knows it. And that knowledge? That's worth more than any fine. I sleep soundly in that cabin now, because peace isn't about rules. It's about justice quietly finding its way home.